So, shall we move on? I'd now like to discuss Bollinger Bands. This is an indicator envelope. We select a moving average and the price range is charted around this MA on the basis of a set of rules. So what are these rules? The first rule is to select a moving average with a time parameter n. To be more precise, if we're working with hourly charts, then n should equal 24. That's 24 hours. And if we're working in a daily time frame, then we'll take n to equal 22. That's a month. These are the natural cycles. The second rule defines the width, or the height, of the range D. By adding and subtracting D from the value of the moving average, we get the upper and lower lines of the Bollinger Band. The value of D is determined by the parameter S, which we select ourselves. The range of permitted values for S lies between 0.5 and 3. But before we go any further, let me explain sigma, the symbol for standard deviation. The sigma value is a sign of the volatility of market prices. Look, for any time period that you select, let's say 24 hourly bars, we can draw a straight line in such a way that the sum of the deviations of the closing prices from this line is the minimum possible. As this line moves along the chart, its incline will change, as will the minimum sum of its deviations. But most importantly, the incline of this line, and it's called linear regression, and the minimum sum of deviations have a precise value that can be accurately calculated using mathematical formulas on a computer. The minimum sum of the deviations of the close price is the basis of the calculation of sigma, the standard deviation. And the standard deviation is the statistical measurement of price volatility for the period n. Sigma is a factor of the width of the range in the Bollinger range. So let's get back to S. D is the width of the range and is equal to S multiplied by sigma. To calculate D, we need to know how many bars our sigma is for and what value of S we've selected. Sigma is calculated for the same period n, which we set for the moving average. If we take S to equal 0.5, then D will look like this. And if we take S as 2.5, then D will equal 2.5 multiplied by sigma, and the Bollinger range will look like this. So, how can we profit from this envelope indicator? Let's work on a daily chart first, with N set at 22 and S at 0.6. If the price breaks the upper line, we get a signal to buy, like this. Can you see the arrow? If the price breaks the lower line, we get a signal to sell. See what it looks like. If the prices are between the upper and lower lines, no trading signals occur. There's some turbulence, and it's a trading range, a sideways movement. The value of S used to determine the exit point from a trading range varies from 0.5 to 0.8. For hourly charts, this approach is not really appropriate because we get too many false signals. Have a look at the example for Japanese yen. Let's play around with parameter S. Here S equals 0.5. Here 0.6. And this one 0.8. Draw your own conclusions. And now let's examine the other working approach for Bollinger Bands. Here are our hourly candlesticks once again. We'll make n equal to 24 and S is at 2.5. The Bollinger range has widened sharply. Our trading signals will also be different. When the price makes an upper line breakout and then drops down again, it's a sell signal. And vice versa. When the price breaks the lower line and comes back into the Bollinger Range, a buy signal occurs. Let's check through a few examples. Here is the Swiss franc. Note that here the moving average itself sets the borders either as support or as resistance. And here are Bollinger Bands on daily candlesticks for the British pound. N here equals 22 and S is 2.5. We've looked at a few successful applications of the trend indicator Bollinger Bands. But of course, it's not always so successful, especially for beginners. I'd like to call these scenarios traps for unwary beginners. This is a daily chart of the Swiss franc. The price has breached the lower band and comes back into the range, but then it continues its fall. It's a false buy signal. And this is an hourly euro chart. The price has broken the upper band, but then comes back into the range and then continues on its way up. It's a false signal to sell. Of course, Bollinger Bands have some defining quirks. If there are new highs after the return of price from an upper band breakout, there is a strong signal for a surge in the uptrend. Therein lies the trap. I'd like to conclude this section by saying that Bollinger Bands were designed to be used with other indicators. We're going to go over them soon. Also, and I'll make no apologies for repeating this, don't forget to set your stop loss. If you've got the cover of a stop loss, then your misjudgments will not lead to catastrophe.